right. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Just had a little bit of technical difficulties, and we're ready to roll. Firstly, thank you. Happy Inspire Week. I know this year's Inspire is very different from all the Inspires we have ever been to. So we sort of having a mini gathering session with every one of you here today, and we have brought on some of our very interesting colleagues, and I'll just share with you later on. And going on to the next slide. All right, so just want to say again, this is a session meant for all our partners. We want to thank you for the continued support that you guys have given us, especially this year during very challenging and interesting times. Thank you for staying with us. And today we have a lot of session that can be catered for Q&A, so feel free to ask any questions you have to us on the side panel. You will see the Q&A right there, and looking forward to answer some of the questions right there. So today, your host will be myself and Darren. I believe you will have known either myself or Darren from the opportunities that we have been working on. So hi to you again. And the agenda we have for you today would be 5 of them. Firstly, we will chat with one of our Migration Wiz partners. Secondly, we will talk about the Migration Wiz business trend with our Director of Business Development. Then we will get into common migration with our technical sales specialist. Next to Migration Wiz product updates with our Director of Engineering of Migration Wiz. And lastly, what happens after Migration Wiz, as that is with our General Manager of our new product, Bullia. Today for you, we have the panel, the BitTitan panel, and that will be Brad, Rosario, Manoj, we have Sharon, we have Tanner, and we have Angela. So let's kick off the session with our partner session. All right, so we'd like to welcome James. He's the principal consultant of UniQ Consultancy and one of our very important partners in Malaysia. So thank you and welcome, James. Hey, James, you might be on mute.
Hello, Stella. Hello, everyone. Yep.
Hi. Thank you.
Thanks for the invitation.
No problem. Very glad to have you here today, James. So, James, would you mind sharing with us about your company and your business as well as your role in the business?
Okay, so Unique Consulting is actually a cloud-born company where we focus pretty much a lot on the cloud solutioning, which includes things like Microsoft Office 365, Azure, okay, which is our main focus. And of course, we have been the focus of migrating customers from on-premise or probably some of the other common cloud platforms into the Microsoft infrastructure. So we focus from consulting, providing advisories to planning out deployments, providing support or proactive monitoring to our customers after we have moved them to the cloud platform. And of course, nevertheless, after moving them, one of our key objectives is to get the customers to optimize and maximize the platform that they have actually subscribed to.
Cool. So a lot around cloud transformation. So business must be pretty good during this time.
Yes, it's a little bit busy, but yeah, it could be better.
Cool. And so how is your company now coping with this COVID-19, whereby I'm just assuming sometimes you might have to be on site, but now it's going to be 100% remote. So how is the company dealing with this, and how are you guys going about doing any form of planning?
Okay, so things has been a little bit crazy since the COVID-19 and the lockdown started in Malaysia back in, I think it could be about end of February, early March. So things was pretty much chaotic. Lots of our customers was at cloud. Some of them were not. Some of them are in preparation. So everything came in a sudden. So my team and myself, we have been pretty much, During the lockdown, we have been working remotely, and as things starts to ease off a little bit, about a month back in Malaysia, some
Mm.
of us start going on site, but most of the time we are practicing some of the so-called best practices by our Malaysian government, where we have 50% workloads working on site and the other 50% work remotely, and we run this alternately every weekly or bi-weekly, depending on the customers. But most of them we try to do it bi-weekly as
Mm.
standard practice of 14 days. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay,
Yeah.
that's definitely very good. Like in Singapore, I think most of us we can't be in office working, so we
Mhm.
are purely remote. So definitely Malaysia is definitely a step ahead of us in that. And so talking about like the current market trend, I mean, with this, you have all settled on your work planning and all this. Have you seen like market trends in terms of customer priorities? Are they still just looking at migrating on-prem to Office 365? Have you seen any shift or maybe sense of urgency in those requirements?
Oh, okay. So to be very honest, yes. So prior to the pandemic matter, we have a lot of engagement where customers are actually asking about going to cloud, and some of them are, sort of still considering, waiting their priorities. Should we move this first? Can we wait? And some of them are also saying, nah, let's wait a while longer. Let's get it. Let's just wait till it gets more matured. So during the pandemic, I think what I've actually observed in Malaysian market, and probably some in the northern part of Asia, like Cambodia, which I have also spoken to a few partners and customers throughout the engagement, where they wanted to quickly move as an immediate approach, moving their emails and real-time communications like Teams, Skype for Business to the cloud immediately, because everyone don't get to travel. So
Mm.
right after the MCO, which Malaysia call it the RMCO recovery, we have lots of customers calling and say, can you quickly come over? I would like to finalize this. Can you quickly come over? And I need equipment. And in terms of market trend, I think it's a good thing, where everyone is starting to have more confidence when it comes to cloud technology. A lot of people has the real insights where those major service providers from cloud like Microsoft was actually able to cater and handle remote workforce very, very well. So with those confidence, we saw that customer asking for, can you move me to the cloud? How fast you can move me to the cloud? I think that is the biggest questions that we've got, and how soon you can get devices for us, because we have lots of customers who wanted to use Teams, and unfortunately, it's a worldwide shortage right now. Coupled with the fact that manufacturing it's either closed or probably running at the most minimal level. All devices like headsets, speakerphones, practically all ran out of stock. Yeah.
Mm.
So I think this will probably last for another probably an optimistic time frame would be about another 6 to 9 months, and
Mm.
everyone may need to embrace the new norm in this type of working method. And I would definitely gauge that our cloud service provider will definitely be more busy than the usual way.
Yeah. All right. Thanks
Yep.
for that. It's definitely more business, good business, more business. It's all good. I think the last thing which we always like to ask our customers, you have been a user of Migration Wiz for the past year, and I know that you have been also working with other tools in the past. So
Mhm.
just generally from your experience, how has this really helped you, especially during the times now that everything has to move very fast? How is Migration Wiz kind of helping with all those requirements?
Okay, so I think like I've mentioned earlier, the most of the customers actually ask how fast you can move that. So I think being in this industry for almost 18 years, I've actually tried number of tools. Okay, I think one thing that I realized that using BitTitan migration with was it's actually very simple to use. And it has lots of resources, guidelines, best practices, FAQs that's already on the internet. And what I really like the most here, it doesn't really tie me down to certain to do or configurations when I have to run to coexist with my existing environment, be it on premise or a different tenant or across platform. Yeah. So in the past, what I have actually experienced was a lot of tools. They may sound wonderful, but there are too many restrictions, and I would not want to name one of the solutions that I've tried before. The team of people has to undergo certifications before we can actually use that tool. So it creates certain frustration, as in once you get things running, especially in projects, and you still have to comply to the product's certification level before you can actually use it. So it's like getting a tool, but we were not able to use it. However, using BitTitan, I think the best part here is you can even use that tool to run your pilot, your labs, and when you actually had a problem, it's so easy to roll back. And I think what I really like the most is also the support. So be it whether it is a production or it's a pilot environment, reaching out to the support, to me, it's response are very fast, and they are very deep down technical folks that they have actually assisted me and my team throughout my migration, my whole duration of migration experience.
Oh, thanks so much, James. A lot of good comments. So thank you for the continued partnership. And I know that you have a very tight schedule today, so I'm going to let you go. But thank you for joining us today, and hope for more collaborations to come. And happy Inspire Week.
Okay, same to you guys. Have fun.
Thanks, James.
Stay safe. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, James. All right, we're going to move on next to Brad. He's our Director of Business Development in Asia Pacific. And today we're going to talk about migration business trends. So, hello, Brad. Afternoon to you.
Hey, Stella. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah. So, Brad, you're based in Melbourne, right? So, how's Melbourne doing?
Yeah, not that good, which is because of restrictions we have in place because of COVID-19. Unfortunately, we've just had another increase in spike of cases approximately about an hour ago. So we're in phase 4 lockdown here. So it's our second wave. So yeah, so things aren't looking too good at all. We just need to do the right thing as a community and stay in and not go outside and just go for essentials, really. But we just need to do a better job of that to try and control this virus that's happening in Melbourne, unfortunately. So.
Got it. But I think overall, Australia is still going pretty strong, like managing the virus and the COVID situation. It's just that maybe some cities are having a little bit of like a second wave right now.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers in a scheme of things to the rest of the world aren't very high at all. I don't want to sort of play it down too much, but it's only 400 or 300 per day compared to other countries that are in the tens of thousands, so I'm not playing it down. It's serious, but we're clearly not as bad as the rest of the world, but they just, as a government, would like to prevent it and stop it now so our economy can get back on track. More importantly, our health system can manage, the beds within the hospitals and just manage the process. So we're better off doing it hard now. And of course, that will definitely help us in the future and in the next few months, but more importantly, the years to come. So.
All right. And so just looking at the current migration market that now you're observing for Asia Pacific, did you see or observe like how this COVID is impacting the overall like business, particularly on the migration business decisions?
Yeah, no, most definitely, Stella. That's a good question. Way back in 2018, 2019, there was a report published by Juniper Networks just talking about Australia in general, how far it's behind in the cloud migration to the rest of APAC. Knowing Australia as a first world country, of course, and has access to a lot of technologies, and it seems to be first to a lot of adoption of solutions, products, etc. We're still so far behind when it comes to cloud migration, and then that is sort of a shock to a lot of people because they all think Australia's ahead of everything, but we're actually so far behind the rest of the world, and especially in APAC. So that was 2018, late 2018, around October, that was published, and then 2019, and of course now we're in 2020. And it's funny how things have moved. And as James just mentioned, there's a lot of people that need to move to the cloud quickly now. Because of this current pandemic, people need to work from home. People need to do meetings over Teams versus in person. And I'm truly missing that as well, being, the one-to-one meetings that we have with our partners, the conferences. Like this time last year, I was at Inspire, and now we're doing a digital conference. So it's amazing how much has changed in the space of 12 months. So what does that mean? Are companies prepared, and do they have their cloud sort of strategy to move quickly? And that's where we come into play to try and help a lot of our customers move, and a lot of their customers move to the cloud. So some of the trends have changed completely since 2018 and 2019, and we're seeing more than ever a lot more inquiries about customers that need to move to the cloud, not just for their mail, but could be for a lot of other reasons, for collaboration, and Teams, of course, I mentioned. And as universities are a big sector here within Australia, and I've come from a big university background within the cloud space there, and there's been a huge push for universities for e-learning, and using Teams across, not just in the K-12, which is the kindergarten to year 12, but in the academic space with the faculty and the undergrads and so on. So there's a huge push to get people into the Teams environment for that online learning. So.
Okay, sure. Thanks, Brett. And just one last question before we move on to Tanner. I guess time is running shorter than we expected today. So sorry to cut you short, but how do you think the Migration Wiz business has innovated this year, and how does your team, which is also me, stay engaged with the partners during these times? How can we help the customers out there? I think that's the main question.
Yeah, and that's part of our job still. We have to be always helping our customers, wherever possible. And it could be some simple things down to just, some data sheets that are available on our website, to holding webinars like this, and just talking about the industry in general. I think this is useful, rather than have a slide deck of a product. We talk about what's happening, within the APAC region. I think this is very important, So, of course, we have, customized webinars. We had one in India and the subcontinent last month because of the 35% plus growth in that region. We wanted to share that what was happening in that part of the world, and doing webinars like this and like that is definitely going to keep our customers more informed. Of course, our website, LinkedIn posts, articles, they're great ways to stay in touch with our partners, and of course them to be in touch with us. And of course, with the digital conferences now, definitely things have changed, and we just have to be a little bit more creative in getting information out to our clients. But this is a great start. So excellent work here, Stella, and we look forward to talking to the rest of our partners over the next few months. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Brett. And all right, so we are going to move on to the Q&A. Everyone has been quite quiet except for Ronak. Hi. Hi, thanks for saying hi. And so any questions, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, we're going to move on next, and Darren's going to take over the baton. Darren, on to you.
Hey, thanks, Stella. Next we have Tanner. Hi, Tanner. I think you're mute if you're...
Yes, I am. How you doing, Darren?
Hey, Tanner. Hey, good, thank you. So good to have you today, Tanner. Why don't you just do a quick introduction of yourself?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Tanner. I've been working at BitTitan for about the last 4.5 years on the technical sales team here. Been working both in the US and Singapore with you, Darren, and Stella, obviously, and the other sales team, helping IT providers and MSPs and learn and understand the benefits of adopting cloud migration software like Migration Wiz.
Right. Thank you so much. And I think what I've observed is in terms of migration scenario has evolved tremendously over the past few years, moving on-prem to cloud or cloud to cloud because of merger acquisition. What do you think is a key differentiation in terms of the methodology that partner adopt with such scenarios?
Yeah, so the biggest difference between the two migrations is probably the preferred method for migrating those two different types of workloads. So the first is tenant to tenant, right? MSPs largely turn to organizations like MigrationWiz, which is a SaaS-based tool to help them migrate workloads from one cloud environment to another. Those Office 365 tenants also have a lot of other workloads with them, which kind of makes a more complicated process to begin with. So that's even for the most experienced professionals. And even more recently with the Teams migration and the Teams workload coming to play due to COVID, users are expecting MSPs to even learn how to move that effectively without end user impact to the customer. For on-prem to Office 365, MSPs have largely depended on hybrid in the past for that migration. It's a free service provided, or it's a free offering that's provided by Microsoft. It offers the end user rich coexistence, but there are a few key disadvantages to the hybrid exchange with a lack of visibility to the UI within that project and the many manual steps that are required for someone to be, very experienced in hybrid migrations and then that type of process. So we actually recently launched our hybrid migration solution here at BitTitan to kind of bolt on top of the hybrid migration to help with that management and that additional level of visibility that comes with the UI.
Yeah, that's an interesting part. I think, later Manoj will be sharing a lot more on that. Thank you so much. So I think one of the common impression from a lot of IT professionals is that migration is just simply moving data from A to B from the source to destination. Is it really a fair statement? And what are the hidden caveats in this statement itself?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a fair statement. Depending on the types of workloads that you're actually going to be moving, that simplicity can definitely change, right? If you're looking at a migration that's only mail, that migration is far simpler than, for example, you're doing a mail migration with Teams, with OneDrive, with SharePoint, and then you're also looking at client-side configuration. All of a sudden, things become very complicated because you have so many different moving parts that you need to take into account. And you also have to be aware of that end user experience. The other thing too that you have to be aware of is, there's two methods to look at this type of migration, either using a solution or a software to help with that migration or going for a more manual approach. And if you're gonna go for the migration solution or a migration software to help you with that heavy lifting of the data, there's a couple of things that you want to really keep in mind, right? And the first is that you should always be performing your due diligence on the migration solution that you're planning to leverage, right? Never make assumptions that the tool is going to work a certain way. Don't be afraid to ask questions, even if they may be a little silly or you may think they may sound a little silly. And secondly, have a clear understanding of what the end result of your migration should look like and what the expected end user experience should be, right? You want to make sure that that solution is going to fit into those requirements and ultimately what the customer is hoping to achieve.
Right. You mentioned a point on, using a solution. So I think one of the things that we heard a lot is one of partners saying that they are available native to in the market, which is available for free to use for the migration. So why would they want to pay, or why do they need to pay for a third party to like MigrationWiz?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's something that's pretty obvious in the market now, especially with this uptick in SaaS-based services and everyone going digital due to the current pandemic, which is going on, right? Nothing's slowing down. And with that, there are many different offerings in the market depending on workloads, user size or project size, and overall requirements, right? So while there certainly is a place in the market for free solutions compared to a product like BitTitan's MigrationWiz, you have to keep in mind that there are likely some key benefits that you may be giving up when you turn to a free solution, like a lack in support, poor scalability, probably fewer advanced features, possible hidden costs that you may not be aware of, and lastly, maybe little visibility into the actual project. So with that in mind, you have to be aware that that could inadvertently impact the project and ultimately lead to a poor end user experience, which leads to low satisfaction for the customer and for the overall migration, which is nothing that IT professional wants to have surface.
Yeah, thanks for the input. And I think this is very relevant. And of course, I think a lot of partners is looking upon us to provide in terms of the thought process and also guidance. So I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much, Tanner.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Yep. I think up next we have Manoj, which is the director of our engineering and site development for MigrationWiz, to chat a little bit more about MigrationWiz product update. Hi, Manoj.
Hey, Darren. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Very well.
Hey, yeah, Manoj, I know that we have been conversing and having a couple of discussions, but before we go into the features and also the updates of MigrationWiz, just want to hear from you what have the current pandemic and also the increase of enablement in cloud and also remote working, how does it affect MigrationWiz in terms of the product feature release?
Yeah, I think the pandemic is a new situation, and I hope we all can stay safe and stay healthy through these trying times, so to speak. I think from a MigrationWiz and BitTitan point of view, we are a digital product. I mean, the nature of our business is cloud SaaS. So just the way we are set up as a global company, we are geared to manage this business with remote work. So all our engineers are working from home, and our software platform enables us to sort of, we have mastered the art of delivering this from a remote work point of view. So be it support, be it our engineers, be it how tiered support works with our engineering team, all of that is we're able to deliver that 24/7. I think in the beginning, right around February, we took some time to reorient ourselves, but after that, I think it's been relatively smooth. I will share a little more about our releases, etc. But apart from missing colleagues and the conversations in the office, from supporting and delivering new features on MigrationWiz, we continue to do so. I think if I may just take a minute to speak what James had spoken about as long as companies adopt the cloud, they will find it more easier also to operate in these situations. And these are unprecedented times, and we hope more people are able to leverage the cloud.
Yeah, it's good to hear that in terms of the collaboration aspect on cross-functional team is still relevant too, and also how your team is easily able to collaborate, I think, with the various teams globally. So next, let's talk a bit more about the feature release. I think that's probably the very exciting part here. So can you share what are the new feature launch and updates from MigrationWiz over the last couple of months?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it took a while for us to reorient and get started, but the last 6 months has been definitely filled with quite a few releases. So I'm going to have a slightly longish answer, but let me see how I communicate everything. First of all, I think we've had Office 365 migration enhanced with Google API as a source. So rather than use the IMAP, you now can use Google API as a source and migrate to Office 365. It's faster, it's more secure. That now is available. It was released in this last 6 months. On the Teams side, we have an offering that allows a lot more flexibility and a lot more performance. But I think the most exciting launch in the last few months has been hybrid. I'll just enhance on what Tanner spoke about. I think a lot of our partners who have spoken to us speak about the pain it is to sort of work with hybrid migrations or hybrid exchange management, because there's a lot of PowerShell, there's a lot of batching, troubleshooting. All of those actually create a lot of complexity. So there's a notion of free in a way with hybrid management, but when you turn out and realize the experience, the expensive resources it takes, it's hard. We approach the problem differently. I think the MigrationWiz project tries to think of it as how do we hide the complexity and how do we get any IT manager manage a hybrid exchange migration. So you can now adopt the hybrid exchange setup for security and compliance reasons, and MigrationWiz offers you a comprehensive exchange management tool. It takes care of batching, it takes care of delegates, it takes care of sync reviews. All of those is automatically managed by the platform. I think that's a very exciting space. So, in a way, the last 6 months is about focusing a lot more on Office 365, more sources, adding new capabilities to Teams, and also focus on hybrid.
Yeah, really exciting update on the new features release. I think especially on the hybrid exchange management. In your opinion, what kind of partners will actually benefit from this solution? I mean, from a Teams or even let's say from a hybrid exchange management standpoint.
Yeah, I think I'd say, arguably Teams is a revolutionary product from Microsoft that, in a way, it's sort of the biggest release, I would say, after Office itself, right? Because it's changed how we collaborate with each other. The pandemic has just accelerated, its adoption. The number of companies now using Teams is just skyrocketing. So as companies essentially work with these tools and they go into various divestitures, M&A, or they actually work through a lot of migration of their data for various reasons, they will actually have a requirement to start working with migrations of Teams and migration of their mailboxes. I think hybrid, essentially companies that take a hybrid approach of a in-house on-prem exchange and a cloud, and they want to migrate users slowly. Usually those projects are long running of the tune of 3 months, 8 months, 1 year. Hybrid sort of fits in right there. As far as Teams goes, just as with mailboxes and with documents, you now have the third element of Teams. So all users in Teams, the data underlying it, the conversations, all of those need to be migrated, and that's where the Teams migration fits in. So we've had a great year with Teams. It's about a year since we launched it, and a lot of lessons learned. It's now optimized for more flexibility, and you can now choose your batches and you can choose the teams as you migrate. And the time it takes to migrate will also be much lower, especially at enterprise scale. The more number of teams, it's more easier for you to manage and make this faster. So we're really excited about both hybrid and the team space.
Sure. So I mean, just to wrap up, what are the priorities and focus on the next 3 to 6 months? I mean, from a product development standpoint.
Sure. I think, again, going back to what James spoke about, usability is an important area. I'll speak about that. Modern authentication, and I'll speak a little bit about features. We hear so much about migration with being so easy to use and not necessarily having training or certification. So we're doubling down there. We're very proud about the user interface being easy to use. So we're enhancing the all projects page and the filters and some of that areas so that users can be more productive and more efficient as they work with large projects. That I think will help partners manage, searches and project management much better. On modern authentication, Deployment Pro is something that will now support MFA. So as you make your Outlook configuration, you're essentially able to now ensure that your MFA requirements are also catered to. And in the next 6 months, we will also ensure that the assessment for M365 is enabled. And lastly, I mentioned this, our focus on Teams, extending support into OneNote, that actually continues. Even on the SharePoint, which is underlying inside Teams, even there we are going to start supporting versions in metadata. So usability, modern auth, and within Teams and SharePoint, we'll have more features coming up.
That's great, Manoj. Yeah, really excited to see, and definitely the Green has been doing, doing a lot of great things, and I really look forward to the second half of the year. Thanks a lot, Manoj. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Dal.
Yep. So what I'll do is let me just introduce next person that I'm speaking to. We have Angela Chu. She's the GM for Valia in APAC. Hey, Angela.
Hey, hi, Darren.
Last but not least, definitely believe the best, save the best for the last.
Save the best for last, yeah. Thank you so much.
No worries. Hey, Angela. Yeah, thanks for your time today. So, just want to understand. You have a decade of channel experience. So, can you share with me one of the biggest challenges you face in advocating for new technology? When we know that Volia is a new technology, can you just share some things around those?
Yeah, so during my course of my channel experience, working for in the distribution angle, even as an internal IT, been through it. So I'm pretty honored to be tasked to always running new technologies. So I started going into cloud like 5 to 6 years ago. And the first thing that I did was to, talking to partners and trying to transform their business into a one-time project kind of revenue to subscription model, advocating to them the new technologies and the benefit of cloud. But that said, 5 to 6 years of trying to transform partners, I would say that yes, we do have success cases, but there is still a big part of our channel ecosystem that is trying to change, but there's potentially certain blocker because firstly, it might be investment that they are looking because they felt that, by investing into new resources, new processes, new system, they couldn't reap the fruits, they couldn't reap the rewards almost instantaneously. And of course, mindset is definitely a blocker that I've seen so far. Yeah, so these two aspects in terms of investment and blocker in terms of, mind shift. Yeah, that's how I see it.
Thanks so much. I can imagine, I think in terms of the whole transformation journey, it has to start from somewhere. I know that I've been working with you for a couple of years, even before when I was in BitTitan, but I know that you're a strong believer of cloud and automation, right? But can you share what are the top 3 kind of concerns that IT professionals, think about when they want to embark on a change of, let's say, a technology or process?
Right. Okay. So I've been talking to, customers, be it whether in the partner space or even end customers. So I always hear these three words coming in, the 3 C's, so that basically cloud. Sorry, can you guys still hear me?
Yes, we can. Loud and clear.
Okay, good, great. Sorry, because I suddenly thought I have a network issue. So there's these 3 words that always come into my into the conversation that I have with customers. So the 3 C's are mainly cloud. So cloud is a technology that everybody wants to embark onto. But the problem is that yes, it's easy for you to embark onto, but it is the after usage process. That means, there can be a mismanagement of costs if you are not careful, stepping into the unknown, which is cloud. And the other thing is also the processes. So I always feel that if you want to go into cloud, right, the customers, they always say that, yes, it's easy to go on to, but, they will see an issue of management like 3 to 6 months down the road. So I would strongly encourage that, if you want to go into cloud, ensure that you have the right tools to optimize and manage the processes. The other C that I have is actually caution. Yeah, caution so much whereby, the resources that you put into, managing the environment of the new technology, and caution in terms of security, because these are the unknown environment that you are stepping into. And it can be a case whereby certain new systems, certain processes will require you to retrain and reskill your staff. Yeah, so change management is very important. If it's mismanaged, you don't have enough caution in that, you may land up with investing into a system that cannot give you an immediate ROI. Yeah. And the last C is collaboration. When we have Tanner, we have James, we have Brad, Manoj talking about collaboration, right? A lot of us feel that, collaboration is in the likes of systems whereby it's Teams, Zoom, etc. But in my own context of talking to customers, right, I find that a lot of them think that collaboration is a challenge is because they are actually referring to inter-department collaboration. So if you want to go onto a new technology, a new process, ensure that you have the stakeholders buy-in to collaborate and make sure your every dollar investment is worthwhile, especially during this pandemic. Yeah, or else think through carefully first before you want to do when you want to embark on a new technology. And it's the same here for our partners. Talk to your end customer, understand where their dollars are, make sure that the system that we propose on a new solution that we propose, work with them closely, not only from a solution angle, also into a buy-in of their internal stakeholders. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Angela. You brought up 3 very key points on complexity, resource, and security. I know Voliere is in terms of the you position it as a IT automation. So can you share what are the key challenge and pain point from a automation point of view that customers are facing, and how would Voliere be able to help them on a high level?
Okay, so maybe I touch base on the key challenges first. The word automation, right, really creates a lot of worries and jittery effects internally within any of us working out there, because automation has always been deemed as replacing human, right? It's kind of scary, right? Especially during this pandemic. So, so the key challenges here is definitely, one of them is definitely resources. Yeah. So if you want to embark onto an automation, right, look into your current pool of resources, which is, the human aspect of it. And of course, the dollar investment that you're going to put in. So from human aspects, right, I was reading a research paper. So a lot of organizations actually spend 30% of their time working on basic tasks. So they couldn't have additional investment to, invest into something more complex or something more strategic to have a higher business outcome, a positive business outcome. So firstly, key challenges, resources. Yeah, ensure that you, look into your current processes, delegate all these basic tasks onto an automation system. Yeah. The other challenge that I've seen is about integration, with other systems. Because when you want to automate certain tasks, right, there will be multiple systems that you need to talk to. So go for a automation system that allows you to integrate. I wouldn't say seamlessly, but gives you an easier path to integrate. That they have an open API for them to talk to different systems. The other thing is, complexity. Look into simple tasks for a start so that you can really commission the system into production. And after that, then we look into the more complex tasks. Okay. The other one is, of course, security. Yeah. So a lot of software now, they are on cloud. And it's always a case whereby, people will have this thinking that if you want to embark onto a cloud technology, it is the responsible of the manufacturer. But that said, the key responsibility, end customer is like their own environment. Because as a system integrator, as an ITSPs, even manufacturer of technology like us, we cannot have the whole 100% transparent view of what they are doing internally. So a responsibility from us is to ensure that, our products is secure. And as a SI, as a partner, is our responsibility together with us to go and tell them what are the right security tools that they need to have in their environment. So last but not least is ROI. So automation is a big word. Okay, so you can see that there's a lot of automation software out there, but there is very little or no automation software that actually gives you a fast ROI. Typically, you need to 3 to 6 months from project for the entire project management cost. They will send in a consultant, look at the environment, tell you you tell them which task you want to do, so that they can actually program it for you. And you actually need to bring in your resources to go through a certification process. So in this aspect, ROI will not be immediate. So a lot of companies got caught in this situation. They can only see the ROI in like the next 3 to 6 months, which is kind of critical. That's where caution comes in. Be careful of what technology that you're using, because you might not be able to see the returns in the next 3 to 6 months. Especially, it is a gray area during this pandemic. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Angela.
Right.
I think a
Yeah.
lot of partners or a lot of IT professionals are able to resonate what you have mentioned. I know that there's a very exciting, which is the launch of Volir. Do you want to share a bit
Yeah.
more on that event?
Right. Okay. So we're going to have a commercial launch with Volir on the 29th July, 11 a.m. So in this webinar, you will be able to see, the automation that we have created out of the box to help you to provide, support for your end customer Office 365 environment, whether it's productivity, adoption, and security. Yeah. So this is one product whereby, you can actually, we are very proud to say that you can actually see a day one ROI. You do not need 3 to 6 months to come up with a process to ensure it automates for your customer. So do join us. And if you're very familiar with Migration Wiz, right, when BitTitan has a product, we always pride ourselves that it's easy to use. We do not need your resource to be trained on Azure or PowerShell. So all these are through simple interfaces that we have developed over the last 1 year. And it's based on the feedback that we hear from our customers. So do join us for this event.
Thanks, Angela. I'll definitely be there during the event. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for your time, Angela. It was really a great session.
Most welcome. Thank you.
Right. So, hi, everyone. I'm not sure if there's any questions here, but we are now in the Q&A session now. So let me run through some of these questions, and let me see if you have any questions. You can actually feel free to post on the right-hand side corner under the Q&A session.
All right. So there is a question about migration from on-prem Exchange server to 365, including rules, calendar, policy. Tanner, would you mind commenting a little bit on that?
Yeah, Stella, I'm just looking for the question. Can you repeat the question to me, please?
Yep, sure. It's about migration from on-prem Exchange server to Office 365. Does that include rules, calendar, policy?
Yeah, so it does include server-side rules. However, client-side rules will not be migrated.
All right, sure. Thanks, Tanner. So Nick McKay has a question around, is BitTitan looking into providing cloud backup solutions as a service at some point, for example, Office 365 backup? I think that's a question Manoj will be able to comment.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting requirement, and we've come across this even internally. I think we're just looking at that space, especially from a cloud enablement and cloud management point of view. No announcement yet. The next 6 months is mostly, I think, Valier, you just heard Angela, and for us to double down on hybrid and teams, but we'll keep this space posted.
All right, thanks, Manoj, and thanks, Nick. All right, so there's one last question that talks about, will we be given a list of new features and updates of what Migration Wiz has after this call? So I will just answer that question. Yes, we do have. In fact, we have a page from our support team help desk that you can kind of just search and find out the latest product updates. But nevertheless, we will just compile and send you all of that after this session, which also includes the registration for the Volia Unleashed event that will be happening next week, 29th of July at 11 a.m. Singapore time. All right, so just, I know that we have run beyond time, but thank you so much. I know that everyone has still been staying on with us. And with that, Darren, are there any sort of like final words you would like to share with the team before we close off?
Yeah, definitely. I think most importantly, thanks for your time today. During this period of time, I hope you've enjoyed the session today, definitely, and most importantly, to keep safe. And yep, have a great day ahead.
All right, thank you, everyone, and we'll catch up soon.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.